Hello and welcome to Vulnerable Moments with Miss E. Today is Tuesday, May 26, 2020, and today's topic is honesty in partnerships. I'd like to start off by saying that if you're entering a partnership of any kind, you want to make sure that you're completely honest and transparent. The minute that you guys come to an agreement, come to the table, come into each other's lives with the intent to partner up or commit to one another, whether it's in an intimate relationship or a business relationship, you want to make sure that you have a good understanding of where you two are going and what your ultimate goal is. For instance, in an intimate relationship, the ultimate goal of one individual might just be to have a loose relationship, kind of like maybe a sex-only relationship, or just, somebody to accompany them to dinner occasionally, or just to have a Netflix and chill. While in a business relationship, you may have someone who's up and coming, trying to break into the market or industry, and they simply need to learn the ropes. If that is your true intention, to learn from an individual and not to have a long-lasting partnership, be sure that you're upfront and honest, and make sure that if that individual knows that, so that they're not under the impression that this is going to be a long-term partnership. The other thing is, don't rush into partnerships for emotional reasons or because you're anxious to get ahead. The reality is, there are a lot of people who are doing very well in their industry, but they're overwhelmed. And then they go into partnerships because the person's work ethic looks phenomenal, at least in the beginning. It starts out and the momentum is great. So they let's partner because I like the fact that you are doing well and that you're committed to the process, or that your work ethic is phenomenal. But what they don't realize is the only reason why they're rushing into that relationship is because they're overwhelmed and they need someone to do the work for them. You might not be looking for a partnership. You may simply just be looking for an employee. See, in partnerships, you have to make sure that the percentages actually reflect what is necessary for both parties. For instance, don't just offer somebody 30% of a profit simply because you've already put in years of experience. If that person is bringing something to the table, if the expectation is that whenever a bill is due, you want them to go 50-50, but at the same time, you're actually having them only receive 30% of the profit. Well, then if they're only getting 30% of the profit, then don't you think it's actually fair that they pay 30% of the cost? See, people want their cake and eat it too. Same thing in relationships. What works for me right now is kind of how people approach things in an intimate setting. But they haven't even discussed with their partner that this partner wants children. They want to be married. They want this thing long term. And you just simply want to date, have friends, and, fling here and there. A few things that I also wanted to mention is don't do underhanded things. If you make a commitment, whether it's in writing or verbally, I suggest you get everything in writing though. Don't do things behind your partner's back. Because if you agreed to operate in a certain structure or in a certain way, then operate as agreed. The second thing that I wanted to say is be honest about your end goals. We've already discussed that some people in an intimate relationship want to be married, while other people just want to simply date for the rest of their lives. In partnerships, you might just want to have a temporary partnerships until you actually build up your business. For instance, there's hairstylists that might go in and rent a chair. They actually might be bringing in the most clientele, but their ultimate goal is to open up their own salon. Now, in the meantime, they're not underhanding the friend or temporary partner or interim partner that they have. The other thing is be willing to put some skin in the game. What I mean by that is if you have paid partnerships, if you have money to bring to the table, if you have some sort of talents or skill set, then let's put that out there. You can't just hold everything that you have going for yourself and expect for your partner to do all the work and put up the most out there. So when I say put some skin in the game, which brings something to the table besides your good looks and your charm. The other thing is to be willing to put in the work. A lot of people think that just because there's a partnership that the other partner has to do all the work in order to keep this business afloat. Be sure to do your research on the industry and your partner before you commit. There's some things that you might find out that actually may change your mind. Don't ever undermine your partner. That means you don't go behind your partner's back, speaking ill of them or causing ill will towards them. Make sure you hash things out with the individual that you've gone into partnership before you proceed in any other direction. Have an open line of communication. The reason being is because when you're sitting there festering and frustrated and furious about something that your partner is or is not doing, the partner may never know. So just because you're thinking it doesn't mean that your partner knows it. And that goes both ways for both business and personal relationship. If you're in the partnership, don't be an opportunist or vulture. There's a lot of culture vultures out here already. We don't need you to be an information vulture who's not actually supplying anything to the relationship. I've been in a relationship where my partner, or at the time my ex, I would teach him and give him a lot of information, but I didn't even realize that he was doing his own research and not sharing it. People have to understand that when it's a give and take type sort of situation, especially when you're in an intimate relationship and you guys are trying to build together, even if you're a little insecure about the information you've gathered, you still want to discuss it because you may have vital information that could actually propel your relationship and or business. Don't be greedy. And when I say that, some people try to undercut, undermine, and or cut people out of a scenario all because you want the greater profit. The minute that you start being greedy, you can destroy friendships, relationships, business partnerships, and even yourself and your own reputation. And the other things that I wanted to mention to you is slow money is better than no money at all. Just because things are coming in a little bit slower than usual, at least you're still seeing it. That'll help you to pick up momentum. That'll help you to stay motivated. That'll keep you inspired. And then ultimately, you'll end up seeing more transactions transpire. Be consistent. If you don't do anything else, be consistent. Be consistent with your attitude, your approach, especially if it's working well in the partnership and for yourself. And be consistent with the work ethic and the energy that you're bringing into the situation. And last but not least, remember, sharing is caring. Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Vulnerable Moments with Miss E. You have an amazing day on purpose. God bless.